So we got quite a bit to run down, but first we do have our guest, Michael, coming on. Michael, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for
Michael,
coming on.
welcome to Show Me the Money. Are we going to show our audience the money? I guarantee we will today. People, pay attention. What do we hear? What do we say here? What do we say? Show me the money, right? We're always looking out for drivers to supplement, put more money in their pockets. And this is going to be an interesting way. Chris and I, we both love it. Actually, I think we're both going to give this a run. So with that said, Michael, COO, Safeguard Properties, welcome to the show. Please introduce yourself and what the company is, and we'll go on from there.
Yeah, thanks, Sergio. Yeah, my name is Mike Greenbaum, Chief Operating Officer for Safeguard Properties. I've been with the company for 15 years. Safeguard has been around since 1990. It was founded by a guy by the name of Robert Klein. He was actually interesting story about Robert. He was a New York City cab driver. He's if anybody knows Robert, pretty famous guy within the actual property preservation world, but just a fanatical guy, just somebody that literally started this company in his garage, and then went out, added a couple of people and started growing something that was based out of Cleveland, Ohio. And eventually we started servicing literally the largest financial institutions in the entire world, and cover all 50 states, Guam, Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and really build up a really nice business over the last 3.5 decades.
So now a lot of the audience that's watching this now and mostly on replay later are going to go, what does property anything to do with the rideshare? Listen up, here it comes. So what does Safeguard do? What does Safeguard Properties do?
Yeah, Safeguard's primary mission is when somebody falls behind on their mortgage, we are going to be the company, or it's typically we have a really large market share, so there's a really good chance Safeguard will actually end up being the company assigned the work. But what our first responsibility is to go out and do what's called an occupancy inspection. So we'll visit the property, and then and we will go up, we'll knock on the door, see if somebody answers. And then what we're doing is just taking in the information. Do I see lights on? Does it look like it's in a lived-in condition? And then I have to make the actual call, whether it's vacant or it's occupied. And then so typically what happens is every 30 days thereafter, if the person hasn't become current on the mortgage, the servicing company, the person that actually is servicing the mortgage, will continue to order those inspections. And then so, what our independent contractors do is every 30 days, they'll get a work order, they'll go back out there, and then what they're going to do is just keep looking at the property. And if it remains occupied, we'll continue to report those results back to the servicing company. But once it becomes vacant, the other part that Safeguard does is we'll actually end up stepping into the property and starting to preserve and protect it while it goes through the actual foreclosure process. And that's the big thing. We have to make sure that collateral of the house itself does not deteriorate over time, gets through the foreclosure sale and goes through that sales process.
Right, so that it doesn't get vandalized or some unwanted renters move in, kind of a thing,
Exactly. That's
So I have a couple of questions, because I'm going to do this actually. Now somebody's late on their mortgage, right? I cannot assume that they're in a good mood.
Correct.
They may have gotten laid off. I mean, we don't know the circumstances, but we went through this in 2008, as all of you remember, folks. Great financial crisis. Mortgages went upside down, and let's not get into that. But so as a gig worker, or let's say I'm a rideshare driver, I happen to be in the neighborhood, I have my work order, I have 3 homes that I'm going to go check it out. So this person may not be in a good mood. I go knock on their door. What could happen? Could I get punched out, or do they come out swinging, or what's happening? I mean, I'm sure there is some sort of risk there.
No, yeah, we do hundreds of thousands of these every single month. So we have plenty of volume behind it. No, I mean, so the direct protocol is you go and knock on the door, just like if a neighbor were to come and knock on the door. I mean, people don't instantly start getting aggressive. They just really want to kind of understand, why you're knocking on the door. And then what we do to kind of de-escalate the situation in our training is we're just very clear. We're just here on the behalf of the bank. We're just trying to figure out if the property is still occupied or it's been vacated. And then we're out. We take the
we're very
photographs
used
that are
to
required.
de-escalating, by the way, Mike. We get some drunk passengers in the car. You could imagine what we go through 40 times a day sometimes. And it's just like, they go like, yeah, you're belligerent. And then we highly recommend de-escalation. So, so we are independent contractors, right?
Yes, 100%.
And talk to me a little bit about what do I need? Do I need a license? Do I need some paperwork? Do I need some permits to do this? What does Safeguard provide? Obviously, you just hinted there's some training that goes on, or there's some scripts that are handed out, how to talk to people, obviously, and the onboarding process. I know it's a loaded question, but let's just take it one at a time. Like, what does Safeguard provide to their independent contractors as far as training is concerned? Let's start.
Really good questions. So when people express interest in becoming one of our independent contractors, the first thing that we're going to do is just make sure that we have a need in the area. So just to be very clear, there is a fair amount of demand for the work. Then what we don't want to do is we don't want to bring people on and then not be able to give them enough work. So that is part of the process. But let's say there's a supply demand imbalance. We definitely need to bring on additional independent contractors for that specific area. Then what we will do is we'll set you up with a person that we call a credentialer. And then what they do is they really hold the hand of the independent contractors. They're going through the process. So there is some background. There is a background check that has to be performed. It's a financial related entity. So we have to go through and make sure that a background check gets passed.
Okay.
And then the second thing is, we'll actually need, the property, the details, the address. We typically end up getting, obviously, a license just so we can identify the specific person. And then after that, then that's, as long as the background check, comes back and passes, then we will move you into what's called the credentialing process.
Okay.
And then that process itself, just because it really is 98% of our work is all done through a mobile application.
Okay.
It's all about just making sure that the person truly understands, 1, how to log in, 2, how to get your orders, 3, what are the different order types, and then 4 is we're just going to kind of walk you through what we refer to as a script. And that's just the procedural process when you show up to the property. Take, these 4 photographs, answer these 6 questions, transmit, submit, get back in your car and go to the next property.
Yeah, all done through the app, right?
All done through the app.
Okay, so as you may or may not know, every single rideshare driver goes through a background check to onboard Uber and Lyft platforms. Is it a similar background check?
Yeah,
if I already went through a background check through Checker, they use Checker mostly, and I have a copy of it, can I submit that? And who pays for the background check?
Yeah, if there's already been a background check performed, we will take that. We also use Checker as well, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then if I don't have a current one, because usually when I'm asked by Uber to get a background check, I always save the latest one on my phone or on my computer. But let's say somebody didn't save it, I have to go through it anyway. Who pays for that? Company
No, Safeguard does. Yeah, we have a corporate account. We'll pull the background.
So you guys pay for that. Okay. Yeah. So is there any requirement as far as car is concerned? Can I do this on a e-bike or whatever?
That's interesting. No, we don't have firm requirements, but I can assure you every single one of our people are actually probably doing it on a bike. Although that's an interesting question, because in some of these dense urban populations, again, Chris and I are both in, I don't know, it's 20 degrees here, it's 22 where he is. So none of us, none of us are thinking about e-bikes. But I don't know, Sergio, I don't really care, to be honest with you. No, there isn't a requirement like a specific car.
Okay. Just checking all the boxes, because I am seriously going to do it.
Yeah.
So, okay, we talked about that. Onboarding process seems pretty similar because we've gone through this with Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Grubhub, blah, 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 all the other ones. And background check is pretty simple. The script is pretty simple. I'm pretty sure the app is very self-explanatory. We don't have to be a rocket scientist to do this.
Correct.
Now, we as rideshare drivers, we drive obviously, and what we complain mostly about is pay. Okay, so let's talk brass tacks here. So
Yeah, sure.
I'm not going to tell you to exactly put a number on it, but approximately, do you have some sort of numbers as far as what we could get paid? Is it per, by the way, is it per
Per
inspection?
work
Is it
order.
by the
Yep.
hour? I mean, how does
No,
that?
no, it's per inspection. Yeah, no, we definitely want to stay with productivity and reward people that can, get through a very high quality, but do it really efficiently. What I will tell you is it definitely varies. Just to be very clean about it. But you are right. We peg almost everything on total rev per day, total revenue per day.
Okay.
That's kind of what our target is. And then, so if you were in, like, let's just go with you, Sergio, like you're in Orange County, and let's just say you're in dense and in the Los Angeles market.
Mhm.
I mean, we have tens of thousands of those types of inspections. So our price point per inspection, and it varies a little bit just with traffic and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it ends up becoming it is lower there. But what we're kind of targeting though is that revenue per day. We're aware of what Uber and Lyft pays.
Okay.
What you guys will find is that after you put in 8 hours of doing safeguard work, it is a higher payout.
Okay. All right. The does Safeguard, since it's independent contractors, especially in California, does Safeguard fall under Proposition 22
Do not.
base? No.
No.
That's interesting, actually. Maybe you should look into that, Michael.
Yeah, maybe I should.
I mean, no, I'm serious. I mean, there's laws here, Prop 22, and then we get paid differently, like 120% of minimum wage and per mile. So again, we're independent contractors. The expenses are on us, right?
Mhm.
Everything just like rideshare. And when I log on, let's say I'm onboarded, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
When I log on, are there shifts like Amazon Flex, or how does that work?
No, so I think this is what would probably be most interesting to your audience. So what I would say is, like with an Uber and Lyft, the demand is coming at you. You're getting individual ride
Right.
requests. You sort of have to stop what you're doing. You have to accept the ride and you got to go.
Okay.
With us, it's different because you can queue. So what I mean by that is typically our inspections need to get completed like within a 5 to 10 day period.
Okay.
Which gives you a lot of ability to introduce route flexibility and also
Okay.
day flexibility to it. So the way that we've seen people in the gig economy, tie in the safeguard revenue flow or income flow, is that's exactly what they do. Is they will decide that they want to actually be active in Uber and Lyft, during these hot periods of times. So they're making really good use of their time.
Mm-hmm.
Then what they'll use with Safeguard is, that's going to fill the gaps for them. So they will go to where the work is, and then if a ride pops up, they can stop what they're doing with Safeguard, pop over and meet that immediate demand, and then come back and pick up their route.
Okay. And you said you are cautious about oversupplying certain markets, obviously, right? Because that's another one of our main complaints is rideshare drivers that Uber and Lyft and DoorDash, they don't care how many drivers they just put out in the wild, right? Because for them, the more the merrier, and then you just sit in your car and waiting. How do you, like, is there waiting lists in certain states or cities, or how does that work out?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a waiting list. If you come through us and we like you, like everything is checking out, we feel like you'd be a really good fit for us. We just have people in front of you that, we have an existing long-term relationship with. You're 100% right. We will not bring people in, and we will not take from them. Typically when we have needs, it's because our performance isn't at the standard that I wanted at, so we're typically trying to make sure that, for our clients, we're 98, 99% in terms of scorecard. And then sometimes, so that's what we're kind of looking for. If I have an opportunity to improve performance, then there'll be a spot open.
Okay.
So that's how we go about doing it. And then what we'll do is we'll bring people in. The other piece that we don't want to do is we don't want to overwhelm anybody. Meaning, I don't want to push, 100 work orders at you. you don't really know exactly how the app is flowing quite yet, make you already start to feel like you're behind the 8 ball before you even got started. So we do a pretty guided flow. So we'll typically start you out and give you 4 or 5 days to knock out like 25 work orders. And then, you'll come back and you'll say, yeah, I've got it. It makes perfect sense to me. Get me scaled up.
Okay. Sounds good. Let me see. Is there anything I missed? No, I don't think I missed anything, but so am I hired? I'm good to go?
Yeah, no, I'll definitely, absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay. So folks, I was kidding about that. Do not email me if there's a waiting list. There's nothing I can do about it. You just got to wait. Okay. So don't, I'll get like 300 emails now. Oh, Serge, there's a waiting list. Can you put me on? I'm like, nope, can't do any of that.
Yeah.
Well, how many states are you guys in?
I mean, we're legitimately in all 50 states. We really, really are. And yeah, if you have some listeners in Alaska, love to have a couple new entrants there. Hawaii's really interesting. A lot of people use this in these remote areas, meaning the major servicers in the financial industry. They like to use Safeguard just because of our volume, to cover the more rural areas. So yeah, there's opportunities everywhere, to be honest with you. Okay,
so all 50 states and Alaska. One last thing from me, and then I'll give you the floor for you to close. I honestly think, folks, this is like a really good fit for people who are driving, and you can do a few inspections during lunch hour if you're not choosing to do deliveries. Rideshare is dead at lunchtime, so go do your deliveries. Especially, this is like, I think, better for a summer job, I think, almost, because there's more daylight, so you can do more inspections probably. And so yeah, I think I've gotten everything out of my system. I'm definitely doing it. So I'll give you the floor. Close us up.
Yeah, it sounds good, Sergio. Hey, the one concept I don't really think I touched on was this concept. A lot of times what we have is when we get a really good operator that joins our network, there is an opportunity with Safeguard to kind of build up a subcontractor network underneath of you. And we have definitely done that where, we have inspectors right now. I would say there's probably at least 25 people that do more than 20,000 inspections in a given month. And obviously they don't personally do that.
A month?
Yeah, a month.
25,000?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
but they don't.
I'm definitely doing this.
Well, Sergio, just to be clear, they don't personally.
You can all be my subcontractors, folks.
Yeah. But what they've done is they've built a business, right? And they truly do build out a supply chain underneath of them. And then that's what they do. They just get amazing at it. And and to be honest with you, Safeguard's not the only company that does property preservation inspections. And we always encourage other people that, you don't have to be exclusive with us. You're more than welcome.
As an independent contractor, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and pursue it and build that density. To me, it's all about utilization. How am I using my time throughout the day? I want to avoid gaps, right? And then, it's all about density as well. The more work I can get in a relatively local area, the better off I am. So, I think that's what Safeguard has to offer.
Yeah, this is one of the better things we've offered here, folks. Seriously, because we do offer some stuff that just don't make sense, but then this one makes a lot of sense. So, well, Mike, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. You will be hearing from me. All the links are in the show notes. When I say show notes, you just click more, and then it drops down, and then all the email, website, Safeguard property information is in there. Please don't email me. Email them directly. I don't want to be another support agent like I am for Uber and Lyft, because I'm not getting paid by Safeguard yet. So come on. So if I do, I'm sure I'll get emails. I'll just forward them to you, Mike. That's what.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. All right. Well, thank you guys for having me on. I truly appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a good day.
All right, thanks for watching. That short little clip was from our live stream, Show Me the Money Club with Sergio and myself, Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you subscribe, turn on all notifications so you'll be notified when we go live, as well as all of our awesome content. Make sure to check out this video right here, which will take you to the entire live stream, or check out this video right there. All right, drive smart, everyone.